If you search online for a winter forecast, you'll find a variety of predictions. For several weeks now, our Weather Alert team meteorologists have been working on their winter forecast. Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Zeppelin and meteorologist Mark Stitz join us now with their winter outlook.
After a record cold and unusually snowy winter season last year with over 50 inches of snow, it hasn't been a surprise to either one of us that we've been getting a lot of questions about what we can expect to see this upcoming winter season.
Yeah, over the recent snow drought before last winter, a lot of people were really hoping for a big snow season, and we finally got it last year. So now some of you thinking, okay, let's tone it back a little bit for this winter season. So let's talk about what we are expecting. Now, when we look at a long-term forecast, we have to look at the big picture sometimes. And you've all heard the terms El Nino, La Nina. That's when we look at the water temperatures over the parts of the Pacific Ocean along the equator. And right now in that red box, we're seeing temperatures in the blue and yellow coloring. That means we're very close to average for this time of year. And that puts us more in a neutral or La Nada setup. Not El Nino and not La Nina.
Except there is some signs that maybe we might shift it back to just a weak El Nino over the next couple of months. But we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. Now, as far as the overall typical setup for a La Nada event is that we get this colder air surges come out of the Arctic and drops down just right over parts of Nebraska, Iowa, and the Great Lakes region, even across the Northeast, where that warmer setup, the warmer temperatures further to the south, and that's where you could see a little higher chances maybe for ice and possibly some rain and even some severe storms from time to time.
Yeah, and obviously that pattern fluctuated a little bit throughout the winter, but that's what we typically see on average over the winter season in that kind of setup. Now, as far as snow totals in a La Nada, well, we looked at some of the more similar La Nadas to what we've seen so far this late fall and into the winter, and this is what the numbers that we pulled up. The most recent similar La Nada event was back in 2003 in the '04 season. That gave us about 48 inches of snow, so pretty big snow season there, but you can see other similar ones like 1960 and 1993, we came in below average. So there's no real clear signal in a La Nada setup, even as similar to this one, that we're going to see a huge snow or a very low snow total.
And that's really what does make forecasting for this upcoming winter season a little bit more challenging. But we've already seen at least some Arctic outbreaks as we've been in October, and a really big one came through in November. And here's a look at that. You can see the purple colors moving and pooling out of the Arctic Ocean, and then they just plunge to the south, impacting areas even as far south as Mexico.
Yeah, and obviously it's winter. We're going to get cold snaps, but those are the truly cold snaps and already dropped us into the single digits early in November. Now, as far as a typical year or winter for us here in Omaha, these are the average snowfall totals over the last 30 years or so. October, November come in pretty light as far as snow totals, but the main part of winter, December, January, and February, each of those 3 months, we average just over 6 inches of total accumulation. And obviously, as we start to warm up heading into spring, March and April, those snowfall totals start to come down.
So this is our current thinking. We're going to take it month by month, at least our winter months. In December, we're looking at above average snowfall, which would mean more than 6 inches of snow. Temperatures expected on average to be below, so colder than average as we head into December.
Now heading into January, we still are thinking above average snow. So again, over 6 inches for that month, but temperatures we think could come in a little bit closer to average. But obviously it's January, it's going to be cold.
And maybe if it moderates a little bit, but it just really all depends right now on how much snow we get both of those months in December and January, and what kind of impact it's going to have on temperatures. Right now, we're sort of leaning in the direction of above average temperatures at this point and below average on our snowfall.
Yeah, get too much snow on the ground though across the region, that can really lock in the cold air, so that could change things as we go towards the end of winter. So here are the 3 big things we're looking at so far for this forecast. So far in the fall, at least, we came in pretty close to what we saw last fall. A couple Arctic outbreaks very early in the season, also a couple small snows very early in the season.
Exactly. And as we mentioned earlier, the wild card out of all of this is really going to be El Nino. Will we see a little bit more warming taking place as we get into the next couple of months or the heart of winter? And if that happens, that might increase our chances for even more snow.
Yeah, and in a weak El Nino, though, again, still a wild card in itself because we can get really small totals for a weak El Nino or really big totals as well.
very similar to what we had this past
Yes.
winter season. And the unsettled pattern, we've already talked about this. We've already experienced it throughout the month of November and even in October. Those cold Arctic surges of air that will be impacting us. Multiple is what we're thinking at this point.
Yeah, and that would put us below average for temperatures, so a colder than typical winter overall.
And when it comes to the snow, we're thinking above average, but nothing like what we saw last year. Our average snowfall runs at about 27 inches, and this year we're thinking about 6 to maybe 10 inches above that.
Yeah, and that would put us around that range of 33 to 37.
Well, we know that there might be some, changes in our winter forecast, and to provide you with the latest updates, we'll continue to keep monitoring it throughout the winter months.